Hello guys, and welcome back to Strategic Command World War II World at War with our Axis playthrough. In the last episode, we proceeded to October 1941, and we've come to an interesting crossroads here. I spent a good hour recently just staring at the map, looking at MPP values and thinking, and I think due to the fact that this is a learning playthrough against an AI, I'm really going to stretch. And I want to see the limits of what I can do with Japan. We are going to do an early Pearl Harbor. Now, that might sound ridiculous, and it kind of is, but I did some mental math, kind of remembering what America produces at full mobilization. Right now, they're at 62%. If I take this back, that's another 75 MPPs from a convoy. There's at least that much or more spread around these islands, roughly, including New Zealand. Australia has a decent bit as well if I were to take that. I also saw that Thailand doesn't join until I take Hong Kong as well. So that's a thing, gotta get that for Thailand to join. Thailand, I don't think has any MPP value at all, hilariously, but it opens up a path to taking Singapore, to taking Burma, which has oil fields, and then can turn down some of the supplies going into China. And then there's also India. It opens up a path to India, and I have the units pretty much ready to go. And if I took all of this over, if I actually saw success, which against a player maybe it would be harder, against an AI I feel like I can pull it off with the experience that I have. I think I can get Japan to match America. Now, this is a very ballsy and risky assumption, but I believe that it will work against AI. Against a player, again, maybe not. But we're not fighting against a player now, are we? And if this does work or doesn't, I'll get a better idea of what a player I'm fighting would be capable of as well. Even though I've already played this side, I get to see it from the other side. So, also because there is the problem of Japanese national morale constantly going down. It's going down by 1% per turn. I could definitely draw this out for a number of more turns, but our morale is going to get notably closer to China's. I don't really feel like doing that. I just want to really put the meaning of this playthrough through. So we're going to go to the war map because we're ready. We're ready to go. All I can do is drag it out at this point. And rather than drag it out, I think I'm going to take some initiative, a very ballsy initiative. For the first couple turns, this will totally not have been worth it. But if I can see success in as many places as humanly possible, then it will have been worth it. So, we are going to declare war on both America and the DEI this turn. Let's start with the DEI, which is this. Dutch East Indies, yes. We have Japan, 40% allies leaning. God damn. Let us declare war on them with Japan. Yes, sir. And voila. That puts me at war with the entire UK. And then America, that puts to 97%. That's, if you go for DI, you gotta go for America. We're gonna declare war on America. This literally spits in the face of some advice I got for the game, but I don't think I'm gonna have trouble winning. Honestly, I've played America. I know how long it gets to take. It takes a while for them to be useful, even once they're in the war at full mobilization. And they have to not pour money into their allies to even get to that point. And if they don't pour money in their allies, still, it takes a while. This government condemns attack on the DEI. Yeah, blah, 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 blah. Declares war on Germany. Yeah, that's fine. Italy, I counted for this. DOW, USA, boosts morale. Brunei, just all these nations that belong to the UK are going to be joining, preparing for war, and that's good. I want to take them over. That's the whole thing. And so that boosted me back up to 95%. Okay, yeah, I didn't want to get that. If that's all that gives me, I did not want to let that get too much lower. Let me look at the graphs, actually. Morale. Okay, that boosted above where it was for a lot of this. I had clawed my way up to not 95%, more like 93%. It had gone down this much, as you can see, constantly, and it was going to keep going down. It probably would have gotten down to closer to 80% if I had just kept going, because they were only gaining 4% per turn. If that kept up, I had quite some time. But now we're going to get a little bit of a boost here. We're going to go full on and Pearl Harbor these motherfuckers. So let's start with Pearl Harbor, why don't we? I remember from playing the Allies that basically none of these ships were spawned in at all until the war started. So I know there'll be a ship on every one of these hexes, maybe even over here, but not much other than that unless the AI staged over here like I did. So the carriers have escort and strike ranges by default right now of 6. So furthest from, let's say, around here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is about as far out as I want to be in that case with the carriers, which is dangerously close, really. But let me remember that little spot right there. We'll move up to roughly right around there with this carrier. Let's just focus on movement for now. And everyone else needs to generally be a little bit closer, I suppose. At least lined up in some sort of way. They can be in like a little ball. The Zuiho escort carrier will move up to here. And then I guess we'll just line up in front of that, huh? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Something like this. Something like this. Max entrench. Can you actually land here? It acts like you can. Move there. Oh, we can see everything. Wow, that just made me spot everything somehow. I guess the carriers? No, it's not the carriers. What is it then? It was just this island in general. Something about moving on this island in general just like gave me sight over all of this. Not the land, it's still darker, but we do know that all these ships are here. Looking at this, actually, I think I should do less of a line. So we're gonna move this back a little bit, and we're gonna change all of these to a mixture of fighter and bombers. I forget if that's smart to do. Like, I forget if that like splits you half and half. I think it might. If I remember correctly, I think it does split you half and half. I set everyone into bomber mode, and then I set the Zuiho into just fighter mode for the time being, which may not be the smartest because it can only do 1 attack as opposed to 2 like the other ones, but they're only going to have fighters over here if it's anything like when I started, because that's all they start with over here. They would have to operate more stuff out here, and their carriers won't be here. Their carriers are going to be at closest over here. At normal speed, that's 2 turns away. At functional speed, that's still 2 turns away. So, that's fine. Now we need to figure out some sort of a screen here. So let's send a destroyer to each front side here. We need to really fill this in with as many screens as we functionally can. I'll put the light Bukumba, I can't say that name, right over there. We'll put some heavy cruisers out front. And then there's like not even enough ships to actually fully screen this, but it's fine. I'll take the final heavy cruiser, the Mogami. We're going to put it right over here. And then other capital ships are just going to line the rear. So the Issei, the Nagato, go right there. And then the Congo and the Fuso. And then you know what? Actually, let's go ahead and just move the Issei back a little bit. We'll send the submarines up here. Wow, good thing I sent literally all of these. Now we can perfectly encapsulate our carrier fleet, which is bigger than the carrier fleet that was actually sent to do Pearl, which is intentional, because first we need to wipe out these ships, 3 battleships and a heavy cruiser, and then we need to be able to bombard, I believe, what was it, a special forces? It was, or a corps, or an army, something like that. Right here, we're gonna need to bombard that in an inefficient manner for our transports here to actually be able to do anything. And in fact, I might want to sneak them into the formation proper by doing something a little bit, but then that would leave me like, I don't know, a little susceptible, but I'd want them to be close enough to be able to go around the back to Honolulu, do their normal attack, and then land afterwards. Yeah, so let's just move back a touch. Just a touch. A little wide. Let's move this special forces here. This one over here. This is open, but that's not too bad. I don't think they're going to come around, and even if they do, what are they going to be doing? Blasting through battleships? Anything that comes over here is dead. Now that everyone's in position, I've thought about this more. I'm actually going to leave the Hiryu carrier on fighter support because if I remember correctly, fighters can escort twice, right? I think so. Let me go look at one of my own fighters. I have fighters, I can see. Strikes 1, escorts 2. Yeah, okay, so fighters can escort twice. Therefore, I would want something of my own that could escort twice. And oh, actually, look at this. They can all strike twice, but they can all only escort once. Okay, so I might need to use 2 carriers then for fighter coverage to have full fighter coverage, and then use 4 for bombing. So Zuio and Hiryu. I think that'll function. So let's take the Soryu and have that start bombing the first battleship available to us. Run into the interceptors. We have the escorts. They take 3 damage. Ours take 2. We deal 4 damage to the battleship, taking 1 to the planes there. Okay, so total of 3 damage to our planes. They took the same amount, and we dealt 4 damage to this battleship. Let's do another bombing run. Okay, it only escorted once, and we went ahead, we took 1 more damage, but we wiped out an entire enemy battleship already, just like that. Goddamn, okay. Okay, well maybe I just want to target the fighters at some point then. I don't know, let's just continue bombing for now. Now that those guys are done with, I was saving the elites specifically for, well, this. So let's target the battleship in the rear. 4 damage dealt, 2 taken. Whew. Oh, we can see the special forces. I think this is now everything on the island. And we've wiped out the battleship. We're getting national morale every time this happens, and they're losing it. We've already taken like 1,000 national morale from them, and that's directly into our own pool. We have 2 more of these ready to go, plus the Hiryu proper, so let's go for the next battleship. 5 damage dealt, none taken. And that battleship's wiped out, another 630 national morale. We didn't take any damage to our planes on this carrier, okay. Now there's just a heavy cruiser left. Alright, Okay, Akagi, good luck. 4 damage dealt, 1 damage taken to the planes. 3 damage dealt, and it's still alive. Whew, shit, okay. And then we took another 2 damage. Alright, well, let's go into bomber mode with this then. Or, well, I could also just go for this. Let's try to sink the ship. Ship's more important than a plane. The plane will continue to be here. And then we've wiped that out. Taken 1 damage. Can I swap modes? No, okay. That's fine. We'll still have an escort for over the turn. Not that that will matter very much, really. One of our carriers is still at, like, pretty good strength. So, I believe that's basically everything ship-wise that's over here. That's 4 big ships. 1 is a heavy cruiser, the other 3 battleships. These fighters will still have to be ideally destroyed. And then next turn, we can go ahead and get the special forces attacking with their amphibious transports. And we can just start bombing the shit out of Honolulu. And then maybe, I don't really know if you could do 2 strikes and then run away, but we'll keep the escort here just in case any American ships show up. We'll try to kill everything that is on here waiting. And I don't know if we'll be able to do enough damage in 1 turn to really take Honolulu, but I do believe if we stay here for enough turns, even in our current state, we will be able to just bomb Honolulu and special forces on it out of existence, drop in 2 special forces right next door, and then do some damage. When you drop special forces in, even if they don't have supply, they don't go to 0 the next turn. If I remember correctly, when they land, they actually retain a little bit of supply. I think they like drop down to like maybe 5 or something, and then they go down 1 per turn, or maybe they just go down 1 per turn from when they land, which they land with like 10 usually, I think. Something like that. I don't remember exactly. But that's good. Pearl Harbor is taken care of. That is good. We've sunk every ship. Now we're going to go beyond that and actually take Honolulu. And Honolulu is worth 10 MPPs by itself right now. That's crazy. And every one of these ports is worth 6 MPPs. That's at max supply, of course. And then Hilo, of course, will be worth some as well. I would, of course, take that as well if I take this stuff, and then I can operate my ships out of here, which would be, well, a very decent way of keeping guard over this region. Not really sure what I'll do with my navy after this, but the plan to invade and take Hawaii is going fine enough so far. Pearl Harbor was, I'd say, a pretty damn good success. Turning our attention to the DEI, the only thing that matters is Batavia, and there's definitely going to be something defending it. So getting in close is not really an option. I don't think it ever really was, because if I remember correctly, a ship starts here from the Netherlands, and so we can't really do anything about that. So let's send, a good thing I sent elite ones, right? Let's send you over hither. And let's drop you right, yeah, let's drop you right there, sure. Suffered some landing casualties. And then drop you right next door. And then I'll move you next to there. We might need both of these just to take this out. And this will be a great test to remember, like, oh, do we actually keep supply or no? But we should be able to take these guys out, no problems. Let's try that. They start with 0 supply. Oh, wow, they start so vulnerable. Okay, well, he's dead. I can't step on this right now. But next turn, I will be able to step on this no problem. And then we'll probably take the whole thing. There's nothing defending this anyway. I don't think this will go to 0 supply. If it does, well, that's a problem. If it doesn't, well, then that's good. So Philippines is not in the war yet. Because they're preparing for war. But I'm just going to declare war on them as well to get them in the war right now. Because I intended from the beginning to land there. I'm even prepared for it, so... Strategy map. Alright, so Japan, Philippines, declare war. Yes. Bring them into the war right now. And then we're going to move up right here. And I guess a little bit coming up behind. Use these special forces to do a amphibious strike. They have 0 supply here as well. 3 damage dealt, none taken. Then we try to land. Landing casualties, but nothing too crazy. Let's move this over here. And then amphibious strike. 2 damage. And then landing. We actually lost 2 that time, unfortunately. Let's attack with the better off unit. Okay, 4 damage dealt. 1 damage dealt. And now that's wiped out. Enemy force. So we're not able to, once again, take the capital proper. But we've cleared it and we have it surrounded, and like, sure, they can move a plane there, but that's not going to be a smart decision of theirs. Next turn, we'll definitely be able to step on that and take it, assuming everything goes well enough with supply, right? Even if we do run out of supply, it shouldn't be a problem. But again, I don't think special forces work by those rules. And for everything that I land, next turn, not this turn, next turn, I'll be able to put 2 more things to sea, which will be very good. Another thing I noticed is that Hong Kong wasn't immediately brought into the war either. So I have to go out of my way to make that happen. So Japan, declare war on Hong Kong. Declare war. There you go. Hong Kong is now in the war. Oh, it actually spawns with a garrison. A garrison that's going to die. In real life, these were Canadians and Indians. And now they are dead. And, oh, they did damage on their way out, those bastards. Hong Kong is mine. Now that Hong Kong and Indochina are mine, Thailand has a 50% chance per turn to join us. They're not worth any resources for whatever reason, but they will open me up to taking Singapore, Malaya, which is also not worth anything, and Burma, which is worth stuff, into India, which would be great. And then not actually beyond that, because we kept Persia, Iran, was kept out of the war. So India can't really go west, interfere with anything with Germany, and then Japan can just handle India and get all their mines and all their resources and stop that from going to the UK. So that is like a gain for us and a loss for them, instead of just like one for one of us. We'll take this little amphibious one, the normal amphibious transport, bring that over here to Guam, where there's actually 12th Air Force fighters sitting here. I didn't remember there ever being anything here, huh? Maybe because I moved such a thing. Well, I'm going to naturally assault it with the amphibious transport, and then we're going to land. Suffered some casualties. They have a sub here as well. Wow, I don't remember this. Deal 4 damage with the special forces. Fighters can never do anything to stop me. So assuming we even have 5 supply next turn or whatever, we should be able to kill this no problem. And if we end up having a problem, that's fine. I can take care of it. This sub could be a problem. It's too far away from any of our fleets to really do any big harm. I just have to be careful running any further transports around after this. And then I think that's basically it for the actual starting invasion, like reaching out in the Pacific of Japan. 2 capitals just need to be stepped on next turn, and then they're mine, and their countries theoretically will fall with them, and if they don't, they'll fall pretty shortly after. And next turn, I'll be able to get 4 long-range amphibious transports out to sea to continue the invasions. For now, we just need to focus here. I'm going to upgrade these naval maritime bombers with long-range naval weaponry. It's only 30 MPPs. If I had that done already, it would have come in handy for going after this light cruiser, but for now, it's fine, doesn't really matter. I don't plan on doing a lot with it, really. One of the main things I'm thinking is sending it over here to the Solomon Islands, where it'll be able to hinder supply to Australia, and thus make potentially a landing over there more feasible. Again, Japan's not really fully relevant to my whole strategy, so I'm going a little crazy with them. So let's see what they did here. They moved an elite corps to take the place of the army that I took over, and this is the Nanning Corps. Probably something I've already destroyed then, but back again. Tell a friend. Let's reinforce these air fighters. I would like to soften up this corps a little bit, so let's take our better tactical bomber and do an attack. And they have their interceptors, of course, but we have escorts, and we have better escorts. 5 damage dealt, none taken, none taken. Another 1 damage to their fighters, 1 damage to the enemy on the ground. What's supply like over here? Okay, let's move this fighter forward, get it a little more in line. So we've definitely weakened that. Yeah, definitely, I can see that we have weakened it. Let's take the 3rd army, I'd say. Both of these are in 5 supply. And attack with that first. 4 damage dealt, none taken. This one, I might want to use the prepared attack here, so I'm not sure about actually assaulting with that just yet. Let's swap in the North Chinese Front Army, and that has about the same odds. Alright. I could do with maybe a little bit more bombing, medium bombers here, to try to make this more feasible for, like, definitely killing. I mean, I can definitely kill it one way or another, but I know I want this tactical bomber to attack this army that moved into Xi'an, because it's actually easier to hurt for no losses, potentially, than that engineer, and it's worth so much more. So I'm going to try it. Let's try to use the worst tactical bombers. 1 damage dealt. Okay, and that softens them up anyway. Let's attack with the 6 army infantry. 6 damage dealt. Goddamn. Oh yeah, we could do some nice work here. Let's swap in the 37th army. Finish him off. There you go. Wiped out a whole army on Xi'an. That's even more progress. And now we can move the 11th regional army into Xi'an and just fucking take it. We can take Xi'an, which will butcher the Chinese morale even more and raise our own even more, which is good. And now there's an HQ right here. The Communist China HQ is in our reach. Hitting that is so tempting. But also, my brain's like, well, why don't you just hit something that you can definitely do damage to? That's what my brain is saying to me right now. This guy is well surrounded, however. Definitely surrounded. Getting across here is not the most feasible at the moment. The river, the mountains, and the presence of the new 4th Army of Communist China is problematic. For the medium bomber, I'll have it run on the Nanning Corps. Oh, the Flying Tigers! Deal 2 damage to them, take no damage, deal 2 damage to the ground. We did that without an escort. We refrained from taking damage without an escort. That's funny. Man, that's so funny, because they're brand new. Well, I need both of these fighters to be in tip-top shape then, apparently. Yeah, this is why I wanted 2 fighters here to begin with. Actually, I wanted it for rotation, but I knew the Flying Tigers would be coming and would become a problem eventually. And here they are. Now they are. Let's try to finish the Nanning Corps off. There you go. 4 damage dealt. We actually lost the elite reinforcement there, but we can now move the Central Expedition Army forward, and I will. There you go. And we've taken this fortification, and once again, it has deleted itself. I think this is some, like, Chinese exclusive thing where just Chinese fortifications delete themselves. Or maybe it's when like you're a player versus AI. I don't really know. But we're now closer. This Dare to Die Special Forces has just shown up. I think I killed this earlier. Or severely injured it, but it's back now. Dealt 4 damage attacking with an army across a river. Try with the Central Expedition Army that just came in as well. 3 damage dealt, none taken. Alright, good fucking damage. We wiped out an entire corps. Wiped out an entire army, with upgrades by the way. Wiped out almost an entire special forces. Hurt their fighters, as we always do. Like, this is at like 1 or 2 strength tops right now. We can take this HQ, the Tagak, but I can't say it. So moving up into Kwei Chao, let's see how that affects supply. Much better. It was going to be like 5, 5, 5, 5, 5. Now it's 6 up front, 7, 7, and that's with supply here still going up, I believe. And that actually gives me a path heading towards Kunming. Gives me a path towards Kunming, which I don't know if there's going to be anything on there. We can move this far. Holy shit. Hello, garrisons. There's 2 garrisons here. And both of them are basically as good as dead. I could do way more damage attacking this one, but wiping one out completely is probably better. Let's just blitz attack this one. Bam. Dead garrison. How do we take a damage from that? It's a fucking garrison and it was the weak one. That's so stupid. Anyway, it's dead. There's still another garrison here in front of Kunming, so it may be a little bit of a fight coming this way. That's fine. We have supply in this region. I don't think they're really going to be able to cut us off with all these mountains on either side of us. They might just move back, in which case I can just recover from that attack maybe. Also with Japan, we do want to continue researching, so let's go for some more long-range aircraft. Gets us to 1475 MPPs in research. 59 remaining for the turn. I know exactly what I'm going to do with that. We're only recruiting a single garrison. We're going to need more with this advance going on. We are going to need more. So I'm going to spend the rest of the MPPs here on just another garrison. Because as we can see here, we're moving up Kunming, and this spot will need something positioned right here. So we'll send a garrison up to the front for that purpose. Eventually also right here, and we're making 2 right now. It's basically the whole region at which we're pushing. It's also this giant fuckfest over here. It's going to be keeping up with placing garrisons behind us. We have the forces generally to push on every front, even with me holding some forces like over to the side in preparation for pushing and opening a new front. Japan is very capable. They're a big glass cannon, but if you use them right, I think they're very capable, and that's why I'm trying to stretch their limits to learn what they're capable of. And with that, Japan is done for the turn. So before we close up the episode here, I want to show you some of the information that kind of made my decision for me, especially here against an AI. If you look at certain nations, especially ones that are like more recently in the war, like over here, the Soviet Union was doing pretty constant occasional research. This, I don't know what the hell this was. This was just them getting a bunch of MPPs not knowing what to do with it, I think. But once they went into the war, they completely flatlined on research spending. If you look at the UK, once the war really kicked up for them, and they played a focus in it, we can actually see that reflected as they started losing more and more MPPs here. You can see they've mostly, with one exception, flatlined on spending points on research. And, you know, with the Soviet Union here, yeah, they had MPPs they didn't know what to spend it on. They started losing more and more and more and more and more. Haven't been researching anything at all. And then the same thing could go for, say, China. Research at the beginning, but look at their losses are so constant. They especially pick up. They haven't researched fucking anything. Remember how much research I did as China? Do you remember that? But they're losing things so constantly. Even while getting things back for free, they can't keep up. Look at their losses compared to their like spending and total earning. And so I've noticed this, and maybe we might even see it with India. India is a little more consistent, but I haven't really been fighting India. They haven't lost anything yet because I haven't hurt any of their forces yet. So they're a bit of an anomaly. But the point I'm trying to point out here is against an AI, I think this will work because the AI gets really distracted once they're actually fighting and losing units. They go into this mode where they're like, okay, I need to start pumping out units. They ignore research, and then theoretically, this means they will fall behind in research, and I will continue to get ahead of them, and thus continue slaughtering them at a rate at which they cannot keep up because AI are dumb. That's my theory as to why I believe this ultra early aggressive action with Japan will actually pay dividends, separate to it just being a good experiment while learning for PvP. So let me know what you guys think of this early Pearl Harbor invasion of Hawaii and etc. Thank you guys very much for watching. I'll see you on the next one.